This was a forbidden experiment to defy fate. A group of medical students planned to reverse the cycle of human life, death, aging, and disease. They injected a resurrection serum into a euthanized dog, attempting to bring it back to life. However, the experiment didn't go smoothly. Initially, with thousands of volts of electrical current stimulating the dog's body, there was no reaction. They raised the voltage and continued to stimulate the dog's nerves. Yet the second attempt still had no response. Just as they were about to give up, the dog's body suddenly twitched, but then fell still. One of the students believed it was just a muscle reaction from the electrical current. But the next second, the dog struggled and climbed up from the experimental table. The resurrection experiment had actually succeeded. What was even more amazing was that the dog had been euthanized due to cataracts. But after being revived, its cataracts were mysteriously cured. Perhaps the resurrection serum had hidden functions. This important discovery excited the group, and they celebrated late into the night before leaving the laboratory with the dog. Back home, after months of hard work, Zoe finally managed to get a good night's sleep. However, the revived dog climbed onto her bed and stared at her motionlessly, and Zoe was soon trapped in a nightmare. In the dream, she found herself back in her childhood. A massive fire engulfed the entire building, and the survivors were trapped inside, only able to reach out their hands through the door cracks in desperation. Young Zoe stood in the hallway, watching helplessly as everything unfolded. This scene was a traumatic memory from Zoe's past, a fire she had personally experienced, one that had left a deep scar in her heart. The next day, Zoe took the dog back to the lab, but strangely, she became depressed, as if she were severely ill. After an examination, the group discovered that the resurrection serum, which should have been broken down, was still present in the dog's body. It had made the dog's brainstem extremely active, creating new neural pathways. If this continued, the dog would become highly aggressive. That evening, the dog suddenly tore apart its iron cage and attacked Ivan, who was staying behind in the lab. Although no harm was done, this was clearly abnormal. To investigate the cause of this change, Frank decided to continue the research. However, just then, the university informed them that the experiment had to be stopped immediately. The project's funding had been fully acquired by a pharmaceutical company, and the resurrection serum would be taken by them as company property. Frank didn't want their research to be stolen without credit, so after discussing, the group decided to secretly film the entire resurrection process to retain the patent rights. That night, they returned to the lab, preparing to resurrect another dog as per the usual procedure. However, when Zoe closed the circuit breaker, the power suddenly went out. When the power system rebooted, they found Zoe lying on the floor. In the rush, she had forgotten to remove her ring, causing her to be electrocuted to death. With his beloved girlfriend dead in his arms, Frank made a bold decision. He would use the resurrection serum on Zoe.